Namaskar. In this episode of Dil Se, we're going to talk about perhaps the most important issue that is troubling our country today. And the issue relates to the fact that 26th of November 1949 was perhaps one of the most significant days in the history of our country when we adopted the Constitution of India. And the question that we ask ourselves today is, has the Constitution failed us, or have we failed the Constitution? The Constitution makers had a dream. And the dream was that they wanted our republic a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, where justice, social, economic, and political, was secure for all its citizens, where the liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship were free for all and protected, where equality of status and opportunity was available to all, and where we decided to promote amongst all our citizens the values of fraternity, where the dignity of the individual is assured and the security of the state is also ensured. Is there liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship in this country? Is there social, economic, and political justice in this country? Is the value of fraternity embraced by all in this country? Are we secure by the kind of things that are happening within? These are issues that we're going to discuss with three very, very important people who have served this country over the years. And they will tell us something about what the situation is. Dushyant Dave, my colleague in the Supreme Court, has been in practice, I think, since 1978. You shifted here in 1986. And I think on every important national issue, Dushyant speaks out with his heart. His heart bleeds for our country and for our republic, and he has done his best. He's been president of the Supreme Court Bar on 3 separate occasions. Apart from the other work that he's been doing, he's a very prominent lawyer. He's been into arbitration, and he's been involved in the legal services committees and all that. Those are separate things. But I think the significance of Dushyant Dave in this country, that he believes that this country can be a great power in the world, but he is very sad about what's happening within. So thank you very much, Dushyant, for being here. Kalyan Banerjee, again, a colleague of ours in Parliament, a fabulous advocate, very, very, very forthright in whatever he says. And he's been a member of Parliament since 2009, right? 9, 14, 19, and 24. Before that, an MLA. He's seeped into politics, but he does his lawyering along with it, fights for the rights of individuals, and is exceptionally outspoken. And a recent speech of his in Parliament went absolutely viral, and we know about it. So thank you, Kalyan, for being here with us. Karti, and a friend of mine, as you know, that he is also a member of Parliament, and now a third-time member. He won in 2014, 2019, and now in 2024. And in 2019, by a margin of over 3 lakh votes, right, from Shivaganga. And he started his career as a business person. He did your business administration from Texas, came to India, started a consultancy, unfortunately got embroiled in all kinds of fabricated cases. But here he is in Parliament, representing the future of our republic, and hopefully you will help us secure it. So thank you very much for all being here. Dushyant, what do you say? Has the Constitution failed us, or have we failed the Constitution?
I think undoubtedly we have failed the Constitution. And this is nothing new, because on 25th November 1949, Dr. Ambedkar predicted this, and he said, however good a constitution may be, the constitution's working or its success will depend on the people who are called upon to administer it. And he did, anticipate that things are not going to be good for India. In fact, he went on to the extent of saying that if there is a landslide in election, as we have been seeing, then I think India will lose its democracy, it will be a dictatorship. These words were echoed by none other than the President of the Constituent Assembly, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. He also said that this constitution has been worked over 2 years, 11 months and 17 days. And these 200 men and women who are most outstanding Indians that India could have ever produced, they really poured their heart and soul into making this document. It had received as many as more than I think 9,000 amendments. 2,500 amendments were actually debated and discussed, and they produced a draft which is, to my mind, rock solid. There is nothing wrong about the Constitution of India. Every article is so well conceived, so well debated, so well argued, and so well drafted that there is, it provides for everything that this nation needs for its governance, citizens' status under the Constitution, the relationship between citizens and those in power, the relationship between those in power and the parliament which controls them, relationship between parliament, judiciary and the executive on the other side. So every aspect of our lives, the political life, has been very beautifully, I think, provided for in the Constitution.
But who has failed us?
We ourselves have failed us. We as people, those who have...
We elect people, no?
Yes, the elected representatives have failed because, see, two things. One, the people also are not very conscious of what the Constitution is. Article 51A of the Constitution really obliges us, the citizens, to ensure that we live in the spirit of the Constitution and we follow its ideals. We as citizens are not doing it. Our leaders have certainly failed us. So, but what as citizens we have done is precious little.
But the basic constitutional structure in our country is based on one, free and fair elections, for which the responsibility is of the election commission. The media, which must inform our people. The judiciary, which must protect our rights. And parliament, which must pass laws that are reasonable. And the implementation authorities must implement those laws without fear or favor. So these are the 5 elements of our constitution. Has each one of them failed us?
Absolutely. Each one of them has failed. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt. You might see patches of success from time to time in one of them. But I would say overall, look at this condition of the country today. Every constitutional body has failed today. Why? Because, they are manned by people who are extremely small people. Every constitution, be it election commission, even judiciary, you look at it, they are unable to, protect the citizens' rights, constitutional rights, fundamental rights. They are unable to keep a check on the executive and the parliament from doing what they are doing. So it is ultimately these institutions are manned by whom? By people. And these people who have never understood the responsibility towards the constitution, towards the nation, have really not been able to therefore adhere to the constitutional morality or the fundamental principles of the constitution.
Kalyan, who do you think has really failed us in this? Is it the political system that we have today, or is it something else?
Firstly, my answer is we failed the constitution. Enough provisions are there. To some extent, I agree with Mr. David, but my looking into the things in a different manner. What the institutions have failed? Why? Are they inefficient? Or are they efficient? This is the question. My answer is politically motivated.
Every institution is politically?
Almost.
Was always politically motivated?
Politically motivated.
Always. I'm asking you the question.
Not the always.
Yes.
Now I am seeing that it has become a very politically motivated, politically charged. Whether it's a parliament, whether it's a election commission or High Court, Supreme Court, all are politically charged. Earlier it was not there. Even the judges were not so much politically charged. Now it is. They are swayed by the pressure of the media
But
to project something.
Media is controlled by whom?
Media is controlled by who is in the helm of the affairs in the central.
But why is media selling out like this?
This is the media 24 years back, before media, and today's media is a completely different role. Now with the agenda one is coming. You can't, ultimately, I don't say that the peoples of the country are not correct, I don't say. Peoples of the country may have sent their correct persons to represent. But the persons who have come, we have betrayed the people and we are there. Now the media's role, what you are asking for, media is not projecting the correct fact, but rather media is portraying someone that he is the person who can do it. Let's take it, you see. I am giving an example regarding Manipur. You are talking about the fundamental rights. Narendra Modi said when he went to West Bengal, Sandeshkali, 3 incidents happened, said, Sandeshkali desh ka ang hai. Sandeshkali ka mahila, desh ka mahila hai. Desh ka bitiya hai. If that's so, in a Manipur is not the desh ka ang. Manipur ka bitiya ka desh ka bitiya nahi hai. But tell me, how many occasions this media has projected, has given us the correct picture of the Manipur? I went there as a representative of the party members. I have seen that. But if Narendra Modi goes to any mandir, 3 days before he is going, after 5 days only. I hope you have, all the time you have, when you travel, you've gone to the lounge, VIP lounge. What you see? Only one. What the Modi ji is giving speech? Amit Shah ji is
There's
giving
also a book
speech.
on the table now.
Books on the tables. Have you traveled in this train which is called Vande Bharat? Have you traveled? You will find only the 5 hours, 6 hours, you have to see the Narendra Modi's picture. Going here.
He's our prime minister. Man.
No,
He's omnipresent. What's wrong with that?
We are having our prime minister earlier also.
No, but he is one now, third election.
We are having our prime minister. The media knows.
See, this kind of projection is what used to happen in communist countries and in dictatorships.
Now,
this kind of projection doesn't happen in
institutionally, you
democracy.
see, tell me, sir, I am telling you, I worked with you from 1990. I consider you as one of my mentor in the legal profession. Although I stay at Calcutta, you stay at, that doesn't matter to me. Mentor, which we have learned. Today's, whether Indian judiciary is independent or not, we will give this answer. You, me, media, public.
No, people know the answer.
Public is not concerned. Indian judiciary is independent or not, only can be answered by the judges who are sitting there asking themselves whether they are really independent or not. Independence of the judiciary does not depend upon the pressure given by the government only. Indian judiciary
But that's not true. All the entire judiciary is not under
maybe if there is 10 or bad, in an institution like Supreme Court, today I am having an impression, when I am going a judge before the Supreme Court, he favors which party?
No.
You may say no. I know that tomorrow you have to face the Supreme Court judges, you have to give answer.
No, it's not that.
No, that's
It's
right.
not, that's not true.
That's
not true of every.
No.
But that's not the only institution which has failed the constitution.
The parliament has failed the constitution.
Tell me one thing, sir.
Yes.
Give me this answer. You are a very senior lawyer.
Tell me.
He is also a very senior lawyer. Give me one answer.
Yes.
Because of one incident of the Calcutta High Court, on Saturday, 5 judges bench was constituted, right?
Yeah.
You know that judge.
I know that.
The impression was given to the nation that everything would be decided by tomorrow. Friday night, bench was constituted, Saturday sat. And what are the formalities thereafter? Everyone has forgotten what has happened. Ultimately, the judge who was in question in the matter, he contested from the Bharatiya Janata Party after resigning.
No, no, but
And the judges are,
these are
why the
Kalyan,
questions that, no,
Kalyan, these are serious aberrations that have come
That's
to light now, and I agree with you. These are matters that the judiciary should be exceptionally concerned about because their own image is at stake. And I think if we lose hope in the judiciary, we'll lose hope in the future of our country. So, one, we need to make sure that judges are independent, and we should strive to that wherever they are not, that we should talk about it as you are talking about it. And you are right, this is the impression within the country. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, we still have hope that's the only institution in which we have hope. Quite frankly, I have lost my hope in the assembly of all those people in parliament because the kind of things that they are doing in terms of the law, the kind of laws and the manner in which they are implementing them, and the kind of debates that are going on in parliament. And I want to ask you,
sir, one thing just
is democracy only about electing people, or is it something more than that?
So first, I feel rather inadequate in this panel because all of you are practicing lawyers and legal scholars, and I'm only merely a law graduate. So
no, but I asked you the question of parliament now. I say, is democracy only electing people?
No. See, what's happening in India, you need to give me a little time to set the context, is that institutions are now on the self-preservation mode. People who man the institutions, especially when they see a strong man ruling the country. So everybody is on a self-preservation mode. This is not something unique which is happening in India. It's happened many times in history in other countries as well. We could go back to Germany itself.
Sure.
You know, Hitler came through an election in 1932-33. A coalition government, in fact, won the election, then seizes power, and then slowly captures institutions. That's what's happening now. And then people manning the institutions then tend to go into the survival mode. So they need to play ball with whoever is in the ruling dispensation. As far as parliamentary debates are concerned, the problem is that there is no more free thinking in parliament. Everybody is now mandated by a party whip. So, and parties take political stands, and sometimes there is not enough discussion and debate within political parties too, because parties themselves in India are strangleholds of very strong or larger than life leaders. So while we are democratic in that broader sense, one can't say that all political parties are truly democratic, are consultative, or are taking diverse points of views, because that's a reflection of how we are in parliament. And parliament today is very perfunctory and rudimentary in terms of its debates. You know, everything is run through in a very hurried manner. There is no in-depth debate, and there is no space in today's parliament for individual conscious thought. And that, in my opinion, is also a failing of how our parliamentary system has become.
But the reason for that, and Dushyant, I come to you, is this concept of a whip. Right? Whips are used as a matter of law only in situations when the government is likely to fall, when a finance bill is to be voted upon.
Not on any regular.
Not on any, or a no confidence motion. But other than that, why should there be a whip? The result is, because of the whip, an individual member of a party cannot express himself. And that is destructive of any concept of democracy. Don't you think that something needs to be done there?
Yeah, before I answer that, I must, perhaps take Karti's viewpoint a little further about the fall in the institutions' capacities to really stand up to a powerful leader. But the real problem is that this powerful leader, appoints people into these institutions who are never going to stand up. So firstly, this is the kind of a situation which is a catch-22 situation. So today, none of these institutions are manned by people who are worthy of occupying these institutions. I'm not talking about judiciary. I'm talking about other institutions which are supposed to safeguard democracy, like Election Commission, for example, or CAG, for example, which is supposed to look after, the accounts of the nation. Nobody is asking a question, why should 16,000 crore rupees be spent on Prime Minister's aircraft? CAG has never questioned that. It never comes into light. This is something very, very important, that, these issues, now, democracy is a very nebulous concept, and democracy is tested at every stage on our daily lives. So when political parties are functioning in this manner, where they issue a whip and expect their members to only speak like parrots, then certainly, I mean, there can never be a democracy in the country. So it is a big challenge. The political parties are, not mature today in this country, although 77 years have taken place. And there is no doubt about it. And this is one of the things that Ambedkar had warned, that democracy in India is very fragile and it is very immature. And it is continuing to be immature because nobody wants to recognize that, to create a vibrant democracy, a real democracy, you must have absolute freedom in every sense, not only in terms of, democracy within the political party, but in expression of thoughts by its members. And unless that happens, they can never raise the real issues. They will only be towing the lines of the leaders, and the leaders really, unfortunately, have no capacity to really go into the larger issues.
I remember Bharasaheb Ambedkar also said that if you fail, you can't blame the British anymore.
Absolutely.
In that very speech on the 25th of November that you mentioned. But Kalyan, the real problem, I think, is that the bureaucracy that existed at the time when this nation was formed no longer exists.
Correct.
And that ties into what Dushyant just said.
Correct.
There was a time when the bureaucracy used to stand up to the minister and say, sir, what you're doing is wrong. Now the minister chooses a bureaucrat who is supine, who is willing to do anything for his career. And he was willing to do the bidding of the minister. So if you have a nation where the bureaucracy is supine, and a minister who wants to take forward his personal agenda to aggrandize power, right, through means both fair and foul, where will that nation go?
Sir, I agree with you. I am not only blaming the bureaucrats alone. I am blaming so many persons who are holding different posts and different areas. This country's most unfortunate idea has come to amongst everyone. I have to achieve something. And whatever the ways and means, but I have to achieve this. Whether I am having that talent or not, no, I have to achieve it. I don't have the popularity, but I have to become a leader. I don't have that much of capabilities, but I want to have to become a judge. Then what you are concentrating to bureaucrats alone, I am saying not only the bureaucrats.
No, I'm not.
Those who are bureaucrats, yes, correct, sir. I agree with. Why only the bureaucrats? Why not the minister will say to the chief minister, or the minister will say to the prime minister, no, you don't do it. Why in the cabinet meetings they don't raise their voices?
Because they lose their
correct.
That's
right.
Today, political parties
Therefore,
are led by larger-than-life leaders.
Let us come to this point. Why the bureaucrats alone? Bureaucrats, of course. Everyone, we are rushing to
Kalyan,
have a power.
The entire Chief Election Commission is filled with bureaucrats who have either retired or who are picked up, who will do what the bidding of the Prime Minister of this government. Not necessarily of the Prime Minister, of this government. This is why the CEC today is not what it was earlier.
Correct.
When Session was there, when Lingdo was there, when there are other people. Where are those chief elections? Where is that election commission? It does not exist.
Sir,
you were going to say something.
Sir, it's also a question of fear which has set in. Because, if you think that the institutions which they thought will protect you if you stand up, don't protect you when you stand up, people will move into this self-preservation mode. And if you're going to be punished, if you're going to be shunted out, if you're going to be prosecuted. And the institutions don't step in to save you. Be it even as simple as, in the IAS Association, hardly says anything when former officers as collateral damage are brought in as accused of in cases, because the political masters on the previous regime need to be targeted. So in order for them to be targeted, you bring in a whole host of officers also as accused. But the IAS Association says nothing. So everybody is on a self-preservation mode. They don't ever even look after their own. The same thing with the media fraternity. So many persons from the media are arrested and incarcerated. The media hardly raises a hue and cry about it, except for the usual condemnation note which they give out. So that's what's happening. The same thing is happening even within the legal fraternity. I mean, when they see blatant injustice being done, they don't really speak up, because they don't say, okay, will my progression in career or my progression to join the bench, will it be thwarted? So everybody is silenced because of self-preservation, and because they fear that if they speak up, there will be nobody there to look after them.
Well, let's take this forward, and I'll take this forward with you, Kalyan.
Yes.
He's talking about self-preservation. Talk about the fact when governments have been toppled for the very same reason. In Maharashtra, in other parts of the country,
Exactly.
when the leader of the country blames a particular person for a scam, the next day or a few days thereafter, that gentleman joins the government, right? And all those scams are forgotten. So this sense of preservation, the sense of fear, prevails not just amongst IAS officers, but amongst the politicians who are forced to jump from one party to another. What do we do about that?
Sir, just before 2024 elections, 27 very important leaders of the country, against them ED and CBI cases were 27, not 29 or 30. 27% shifted to the BJP.
Yes.
Covered.
Yes,
EDC
all forgotten.
Now, all forgotten. Now tell me, sir, let's just two things I will tell you. This is my cry rather. The peoples of the country still now believe and having confidence on the Indian judiciary. And I believe it, that India has become such a democratic, it's one of the most #1 democratic country in the world. It is being recognized that way. Rather, there would be discussion, etc. That's a different thing. But Indian judiciary is having a great role to play. We have seen it. But today we don't see that. We don't see that. This is a pain. I am not, this is my institution. I know this is my institution. The judges are there for 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. They will go. I have to remain. For
No, the institution is forever.
institution will remain, sir. This is the #1 that is causing a great. Second is there, rather I put it in a question in other form, that seeds have been now grown up, are going up in the country as regards fascism. Why I am saying it so? What Mr. Chidambaram has said, this is a party line, etc. That's another debate in the day I will come. Do you think that during last 15 years, I am in more than 15 years, I am in a parliament, not a single opposition has given a speech which is acceptable? Do you think so? If I differ with a view, with a grounds, will you not accept it since I belong to the opposition?
No, of course not. No.
Then what is the real democracy is being destroyed every day. Why? That's in the parliament. Why? Because raising of hands, number of hands are the factor in our Indian democracy.
Not just the hands, it's
Anyway,
dousing the opposition.
I am taking in the hands, only counting of hands,
Correct.
not the quality of the things.
It's become a stamping house.
The quality of our speech. What is the use of this delivering a speech?
I agree with you.
If I have an impression that I am going to a court, I am making an argument, but the judges already have decided everything. What is the use of my arguing? If this is so, why so much monies are spent for the parliament assemblies? Why? Ultimately, whatever the government will decide, that will be passed.
Screw.
What is the reason of this debate?
That is why this is the reason, again, is the whip. Because
Correct.
if there is conscience vote and members of parliament are allowed to vote according to their conscience, you will have to reach out to the opposition to get
Correct,
support,
sir.
as in the United
Also
States.
reach out
and
to your own
your
constituents
own
to see how the vote, sir.
Exactly.
Recently,
Exactly.
in the House of Commons, there was a vote on euthanasia.
Yes.
And people, then there was no whip. So each member had to reach out to his own constituency to find out what the constituents were thinking about that issue.
Absolutely.
It was a moral
There's
issue,
a
it was an
quote of
ethical issue, it
G.S.
was a scientific
Malvinkar.
issue.
G.S.
So
Malvinkar.
we are quote unquote a democracy, but the fundamentals of democracy don't exist in our country anymore. And that's very sad.
Correct, very sad.
Dushyant, I just come back on another subject. And it follows from what Karti said. This sense of fear is because of the fact that the investigating agencies like the ED, the CBI, and partly the taxing authorities, the NIA, are being used only for political motives. Is that correct? Is my assessment correct?
See, it's not a very easy question to answer, because more often than not, I mean, I'm not saying about anybody else, but more often than not, those who are targeted have something to hide. And that is a real problem. You see, problem real today is not just politicians, judges or bureaucrats. The politicians is with us. Whether you like it or not, one thing you must compliment Narendra Modi, that he has taken away from people of India their power of reasoning and their courage. We have become cowards. So it is,
Give him that's a compliment.
yeah,
Yes.
and it is not, it's easy to see that we just are unable to produce. There are exceptions in every walk of life. It's not that there are no courageous people, but it is therefore easy that he picks up these cowards and puts them into various positions to man these institutions. And as a result of that, the functioning of the constitution has just become on paper. So it's our character. See, the real challenge to my mind is that our character has really suffered over a period of time as Indians. We are not willing to stick our neck out for our country. We don't love our country. As somebody very rightly said, that this country functions on two principles, jugaad kar lo aur chalta hai. Now we have to stand up and fight at every stage when we see any injustice, when we see any wrongdoing, even when we are being accused of something. We should not succumb, we should not compromise and say, all right, I will join BJP and my sins will be washed away. Now, I mean, so how do you build that character? How do you, make people strong? In this country, constitution is not taught in schools. Unless it is taught in schools and people understand what constitution is, it should be revered like a religious text like Gita or Bible or Quran or Guru Granth Sahib. That's not happening. If people were to really love their constitution, know what constitution is, how a country is supposed to function, how their rights are to be protected, what their rights are. If all these, were to be educated, people perhaps will be able to stand up.
Question I asked you had a motive behind it. It was the following. It seems that all the corrupt people in this country belong to the opposition. And because ED does not target anybody in government or in states where the BJP is in power, which is why I asked the question, is it all politically targeted for the
Undoubtedly.
purpose? So therefore, that's the point.
Undoubtedly, it is politically
So
targeted.
therefore-
But why is it being targeted? Because the person who is now appointed to head this investigating agency is a person who has no moral courage, no moral strength.
That's the issue that
So
I'm
they are picking up people, so a problem is, Kapil, it's a chicken and, egg situation. So you can't just find today people in the country in bureaucracy who are willing to stick their neck out. So the government knows, and it has happened in the past even with the Congress government or any other government.
Not systematically like this. Not systematically.
Yes, but even then,
2014
listen,
to 20.
I feel that in last 50 years, we have, at least after Nehru went, we have not really encouraged people on merit. In every walk of life, we have encouraged second-rate people to come up.
You're right. You're right.
So by and large, I mean, exceptions
I
are
would
there.
say-
We respect the exception.
I would say the nature of the state since 2014 has changed radically. Why do I say that? There were institutions within the constitutional structure which are relatively independent since independence to 2014.
No, but take media for example. I have never seen media independent for the last 45 years
No,
of my.
that's not true. When our government fell, I'm sorry, when our government fell, the media was exceptionally independent.
So why would
in fact, the
we move
UPA,
first?
it's the court and the media that made our governments fall.
Look, most newspapers in this country, even in those days, were not worth reading. They were reporting this to sensationalize without
Whatever.
really
But they were
examining
anti-
or
No,
analytically
they were not
seeing
pro-government.
whether there was truth or not.
There's a difference. They were not pro-government.
No, they were motivated. I am sorry to say that.
Motivated to make the government
target,
fall.
yes, to
but
target.
now it is motivated to make the government
But
to
either way,
eulogize the government.
either way, media is terrible.
That I agree.
And why? Just a sec. Why? Because media is by and large controlled by rich people.
That's true.
And these people always want to be on the right side of the government.
Today, media as we know it is very different from the media as
Prior to
what
2000.
prior. Because of social media and electronic media and instant media, the traditional media's value is going down. But even the new age media is cowed down because of the kind of draconian action which happens against it. Whatever harassment happens against anybody, I'm not saying only opposition, be it the media, be it anybody of a dissenting voice, happens under a veneer of legality. Every raid is legal because somebody signs off. Every arrest is legal. Every incarceration is legal because everything happens under a veneer of legality. So people don't stand up against it too much because nobody is calling out and
People
saying
fear.
this harassment is illegal. It's very rarely do you say that. The institutions which are supposed to say, even the investigating officer very rarely says no cause to prosecute. Doesn't say that. The lawyer who's supposed to be assisting the court to find the truth, even though he's a government lawyer, comes there and parrots the prosecution line. And the judges then endorse it.
Sir,
And the judges endorse it. So there is systemic failure everywhere to stand, and which gives you this veneer of legality for the harassment.
But it is the failure of the man.
He thinks, sir,
Man has become wild.
But that's right.
Man has become
Institutions
wild.
are run by men, no?
sir, the debate started with the point that whether the constitution has failed or we failed the constitution. That will take time to give answer, but I can see three things, very important things. Three things during last 10 years. Sense of fear has been increased like anything.
Yes.
Whether you are a politician or you are nearer to politician or whether if you do not remain with the ruling party in
Yes.
center.
Yes.
Division of religion. There is tremendous fear in the country now.
Right.
Number three, very important issue has not been addressed during last 10 years. Issue of the poverty, issue of the poor people. That has not been done. Everything has been done. There are so many factors are there, but I see as a politician, I see in the field, I can see these things every day. Fear, division on the basis of religion. It has taken a completely different shape in the country. We don't know what is going to be happen 5 years or 10 years. Forget about your institution, Supreme Court institution, etc., election commission, etc. Now religion-based politics.
No, that's the
Most
serious
hatred politics is going on. And another important thing is this. Why so much hatred to the opposition? Why? There's not a single, there's no love, there's no space. You don't
For
have,
camaraderie,
in
for
your heart,
camaraderie.
you don't have any love for the opposition.
No, don't have love if it's fine, but camaraderie is necessary, no?
No, why so much hatred? Why the opposition leader will be treated like this? Why so much hate? If you come,
The answer is simple.
if you said every day
Kalyan-
what we see,
Kalyan-
what we see every day in the house, is it, just 1 minute, sir, is it the standard of our parliament?
No, I
No,
agree.
but the answer is simple. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. They are interested in absolute power. It is our job or opposition's job to make sure that they are unable to achieve the absolute power.
Problem, Dushyant, is, and I think this is...
See,
this
look at countries where, take for example, black, life matters. The entire America stood up.
Yes.
Why is it that you are not able to make this country stand up when, minority communities are targeted?
वो पुलिसमैन पहुंच जाएगा वहां.
No, I don't agree.
right.
You have to create a movement on the death of, unfortunate rape and death of that young girl in Delhi. The entire country, woke
True,
up.
true.
So it's the responsibility of the opposition. Instead of talking in the drawing rooms and parliament, they have to go to people, explain to them that the constitution is not functioning. They are unable to do it.
Yeah,
No,
I
that-
am
that
sorry
is the
to
reason
say,
now-
I am sorry to say, no, I mean, don't disrespect to politicians, including my distinguished friends present here, but they are not taking the issues to the people, except democracy in this country works only during election.
I agree, sir.
Rest of the time, democracy is forgotten
Sir, I agree,
by
sir.
everybody, those in power, those in opposition.
I'll tell you, sir, the way parties function is that we don't have conversations with people all the time. We're only reaching out to them during elections and we're only asking them for the vote. Even if you look at Mahatma Gandhi, he did not come out and the first thing he didn't say, quit India. He didn't tell the British. He had social conversations with people. Whereas that is the crucial difference between the
They
BJP.
were running newspapers.
Yeah, the crucial difference between the BJP and say the principal political party, the Congress, is the BJP has got satellite organizations outside its political structure which has social conversations. However disagreeable those conversations it might be for some of us. Whereas the Congress party has no structure which can have a social conversation. The only communication we have with people is come and vote for us. That is not enough anymore to
I
strengthen
agree.
democracy. So
I
you
agree.
need to have social conversations. And that for social conversations, you need to be on the ground, you need to have structures. And it also is a lot of more effort than merely running election campaigns based on sloganeering and manifestos, which are anyway
should be
written.
working 365
Karti,
days.
Let me sort of differ a bit with you. What is this? What is the kind of social conversations they have? The kind of things that they are doing around the country based on hate. I mean, Dharam Sansad is not a social conversation. It's not a social
I agree that
conversation.
I don't agree
Going
with
to-
that
going-
conversation,
going-
but there is a
going to-
conversation.
Going to Pauri Garhwal and saying that why are you offering namaz in your house is not a social conversation. Attacking people on the ground that this belongs, this particular masjid was built on a temple is not a social conversation. In fact, the agenda of hate is the social conversation in this
That is
country.
Correct, but that has to be met with agenda of love.
I agree.
But
I'm
agenda
not
of
disputing that.
inclusiveness of
I'm
growth.
just.
No, sir. When I say social, I'm saying outside the electoral conversation. I did not mean saying I didn't say
Education
agreeable.
of people.
I didn't say
But they
agreeable.
don't have that.
conversation.
No, it's
I
not
didn't say agreeable conversation. I
But this is
disagree
not a
with-
socially agreeable
No, no, no,
conversation.
It's not agreeable, but it's still a conversation outside an electoral politics.
Social
That's what
has
I'm
been
trying to say.
changed. What this sir is saying, Mr. Sibal, if you go to a constituency, if you feel, if you can hear, now the penetration is where? Absolute division of the religion. Everywhere, every place, every village you go. Hinduism has been taken to such an extent, it has become cruel. I have to give a test that I am a Hindu or not.
Even then, even
That's
then,
what- if
Mr.
I
Modi-
speak
Mr.
of
Modi
the
gets
workup-
38 to 40% vote share. So rest of the people can be educated. It's not impossible.
No, I agree.
He is only supported by 38 to 40%.
Yes.
Pass the post system, you don't need a majority of the voters. In a multi-party system, you need about 35% voters.
No. So I am saying not many people, and out of the 140 crore people, 85 crore people are entitled to vote. Out of that 38%, what is 70% voting, 65% voting. So really speaking, it's 30 crore people who are supporting him. Rest of the people want to know the truth. So if you have to go and tell them that, look, you are talking about a temple under a mosque. What about a Buddhist temple? What about a Jain temple? What has happened to them?
Or a tribal temple previously before
Emperor
that.
Ashoka in one night, had massacred more than some 50,000 Brahmins. People should know that. But, unfortunately, we just want to talk. We don't want to go to the people at the grassroots level. Ultimately, social revolution is only an answer to this kind of bigotry, this kind of hatred.
You talk about percentages. Let me tell you, let's look at India. Now, the percentage that you're talking about is concentrated in northern India and the Hindi belt.
Central North.
It's central and North India. It is not in South India at all. So when you're talking about those percentages, it is the massive hate campaign that has won them the Hindi heartland.
Correct.
Gujarat is not Hindi heartland.
No.
Rajasthan is not in the heartland.
I'm sorry. It's the hate agenda that is one
Yeah.
there. There's
No,
doubt.
hate agenda,
No
I
doubt.
agree.
Therefore, I'm saying that what you're saying is based on hate ultimately. This whole victory of Modi since 2014 is based on hate.
But
And
there's
we need
No, still in 2024,
I
it is
agree.
there, sir.
But
Therefore,
Kapil-
we need to actually go to the people and say, look, this is not good for the future.
Sir, today,
See, I'll tell you a
sir,
simple.
all right.
tonight, today, I don't afraid of any other law and order problem. Today in the night, I am afraid whether I will receive a telephone call.
You might, after this conversation.
No,
and
after
it's,
I will receive it. No, not only today. I am
After
talking-
this conversation-
I receive a telephone call whether there is any religion problems or not, division of religion or not. I have to rush there in the evening or in the night. I am not going to. I am a man of field. If you say why the democracy has been failed, why did the people are failed, then you have to take a very simple thing, Mr. Chidambaram. Who is the largest opposition party in this country? Congress. Congress has failed. Congress has failed to fight it out. I am a regional party. All over the nation you are there. Since you have failed, you have to take the responsibility of the today's country situation. Your long history speaks about that. You didn't choose the leader at the proper time, right time. You have driven out the leaders from the Congress who wanted. I am not on the.
I don't want this to be.
Mr.
We're
Dhabe
talking
was
about
telling about the. Mr. Dhabe was telling about the.
No.
The political parties.
We are-
These are the
we are- we are
then you have to go to the real route.
One second.
All the political parties are not.
Our onus
you can't
we just play
Kalyan,
based on the Congress
Kalyan,
party's
we are
positioning.
discussing the issues
I understand.
relating to
I
the
understand.
Constitution. There are lots to be said on both sides on
See,
these
one
issues.
of the things that Constitution's most important aspect is, as you rightly pointed out, Kapil, is social and economic equality.
That's the main
Now,
thing.
if you have a Prime Minister of India publicly saying in his manifesto document of Bharatiya Janata Party that I am proudly giving 85 plus crore people free food and I promise to continue to do so for next 5 years. Is it not the responsibility of the opposition to say that he is trying to make you live like beggars for rest of your life? He doesn't want to, make you stand up on your feet. He doesn't want to give you jobs. He is happy giving you free food.
I think
so that you
opposition has
continue
been
to
talking
remain.
about.
Now,
Opposition has been
It's also
talking
in a
about.
federal structure.
No, but not
It's also
effectively.
a lot of onus is on the
Not
state governments.
effectively.
too,
Those
sir.
people are voting. They should not be voting. They should say, all right, we will take the food, but we will not vote for you because you are not doing enough for us.
But,
Now,
you know,
these are some of the
today-
issues.
Dushyant,
India's vote.
ask Kalyan that, and you ask me also. If you go to the poorest of the poor in this country, they will take anything.
No doubt
They
about
have
it.
nothing.
They should.
You can't convince them.
Yes.
No,
you
no,
can't.
no.
India-
This kind of
yes.
conversation will
Today's
not
Indian
convince them.
No,
democracy-
nobody says they should not take it. I'm not saying.
No,
You
I'm
are
saying it
misunderstood.
doesn't
Sir,
convince
today's
them. They
Indian-
don't vote. They
sir,
won't be
today's
convinced.
Indian election does not depend upon any other factor. Only one factor. Religion-based politics.
Today, that's the case.
Today, that's the
Works
most
in some places, it doesn't work.
No
all
other
South India
factor
doesn't
doesn't work anything.
That's why I said
Yeah,
in the
no.
heartland.
Everybody knows Ladli Behna scheme has done wonders in Maharashtra
I'm
last
not
election.
too sure, Dushyant. I mean, we can.
Besides
we can,
whatever else
But
may
the
have
same
happened.
thing wouldn't hold good in Andhra, sir. In
Nothing.
Andhra, the government
That's
had.
not true. I mean,
Within
we can
2 nights,
analyze
everything
that. In
can be
retrospect,
changed.
you can give credit for whatever scheme. There are much more to the Maharashtra election than the
Of course there is.
scheme, right? But we'll discuss that some other day. Now because the key elements in the Constitution are justice, social, economic, and political. No social justice in this country at all. The way in which the scavengers are still around in this country, the way in which the Dalits are treated. No social justice. No political justice, and we've discussed that. No economic justice because 40% of the national wealth is with 1% of the industry in this country. So no economic justice at the levels of poverty. No real concept of liberty in this country. Media is being prosecuted. Faith, worship not allowed. Fraternity, we have discussed fraternity.
There's no brotherhood of
There
men.
is no brotherhood.
Of
Right?
Indian
There is
race.
no dignity of the individual. Right? And the security of the state, Manipur is burning. Jammu Kashmir, every day there are killings. I mean, what is this government doing and what is the opposition doing and what is parliament doing? Why are these issues which are fundamental to the lives of our countrymen not being discussed. And all that is being discussed is either one industrialist or some other.
Also, failing of the political parties to take people-centric issues and to be stuck on certain pet peeves and constantly going after those pet peeves. And secondly, and also an apathy towards from the general population. General population thinks that after voting, let's get on with our business. They don't come out. That's why I think this one nation, one election is a bad idea. We should have constant elections in India. We should have 2 or 3 elections per year, so people have the opportunity to come out and vent at some point of time. So otherwise, outside the election system, the average person keeps mum. Because he's anyway
he wants to get on with his life.
He's dealing with daily struggle of life.
Yes.
He has no time to come and take a position on anything significant. And political parties, we get stuck into into certain vortex of
stereotype case,
and also our own echo chambers. We are not stepping out to talk a lot more, because we are all becoming, the political parties are also becoming rather insular. There is no divergence of perspective within political parties. That is also a problem.
That was your first issue, you have said it.
That is also a problem.
He's absolutely right. So that's the way it is now. We've discussed this at length. I think we've had a very, very, what should I say? Animated discussion. But I think something comes out of it.
Yes.
And that is that this country at the moment is fragile. Its democracy is fragile. We must strengthen it. And all of us, ruling party, opposition, must get together to make this country great, because it's destined to be great.
Why you are restricting the ruling and opposition? Why you are not saying judiciary should also do it?
Because we are talking about politics.
But today's Indian politics, much discussed is the role of the judiciary, whether you like me or dislike me.
True, sir.
You like me or dislike me. Whether from tomorrow judges will give a look towards me in a different way.
No,
but
that's not.
I
think we have said it often enough. We've both said it often enough, and that's a matter of great concern. But we have to have faith in this institution, because that's the only one that can save us.
But one thing is very clear, to which all of us agree, that Constitution of India is really a rock solid document.
Absolutely. And that it has not failed us.
It's a living document, and it is the spine of this country.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you, sir.
much.
Thank you, sir.